Hi everyone, Ian here. Before we start the episode, I just wanted to let you know that we're doing things a little bit differently this week. You see, there was so much awesome content in this episode that it ended up being really long. So, instead of releasing one giant-sized podcast, we're going to release the show in two halves, with the first half of episode 32 dropping right now, and then the second half next week. That's right. You won't have to wait 2 weeks for more of the Game Brew. We'll be back next Monday with even more great stuff, including our discussion of copycat games and a visit by everyone's favorite mandatory fun commissioner. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get to the show. Okay. Episode 32, here we come.
Better fucking be ready.
Get hyped!
Oh, I thought you were going to say get hard for a second. I was like, oh, I am.
I'm ill-equipped.
All right, starting the day off right. It's a kid show, everybody. Hello and welcome to the Game Brew Podcast, episode 32. I am your Jigglypuff, Ian Richard, and I am joined by Snorlax, Chris writes. Meowth, Dan Rotz.
Meowth, that's right.
And Evie, Allison Vandevander.
Evie.
Today on the first half of the show, we will dive into the wild, wet world of watery gaming, and in the second half, we'll survive the attack of the game clones. But first, it's time for a beer. Chris, what are we drinking this week?
Well, I'm drinking a Heavy Seas Loose Cannon. I think Dan is too.
Yes, right, I am. Love me some Heavy Seas.
It's one of my favorite beers. It's my go-to. And fortunately, since I live in Baltimore, where it's from, a lot of places have it.
I didn't know they were from Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. They're about 15 minutes away from where I am right now. It's just a really drinkable IPA. I can...
It's very good. Yeah, it is very drinkable. It's like... It's got a bold flavor, but not a hefty flavor.
With a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, so it's like, it's yummy is the word I would use it. Why are we drinking it?
Listeners, if you've been paying attention to the news around Maryland, there was a really bad catastrophic flood a couple weeks ago, on May 27th in Ellicott City, Maryland, where I live. And so I thought it would be fitting that we kind of make an episode around that and kind of talk about that, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, man. That really sucks. I know your house is okay. Are the people the street okay? How are things coming back together?
I mean, people are doing the best they can. This happened about 2 years ago before, so it sucks that this is kind of like familiar territory because it shouldn't be. Like, this should not be normal, but it kind of is now, I guess. And people are dealing it the best they can. And some of the shops are going to come back and some of them will not, unfortunately, and which is sad. And hopefully they'll do something to make it so that this won't happen to this level or scale again. But who knows, you know?
Yeah. There are a lot of cities right now on the East Coast and sort of like the middle of the coast that are dealing with flooding right now. It's just been a lot of rain.
Yeah, I think there's some near Allison too as well, correct?
Oh yeah, no, we're having a lot of issues here, especially in some of the smaller towns like Dayton. It's just a giant lake in some sections. It's awful.
Which is crazy because usually like you think about flooding happening near the ocean. You don't really think about it in like more mainland or especially like in the Shenandoah Valley.
Yeah, I feel like there's not even a river near Dayton.
No, it's just it's there's sections of this area that are just like giant bowls, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with is those areas are just there's too saturated.
Yeah, there's been a ton of rain recently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has. It's been a very moist month.
Sopping even.
Sopping.
God, this is making me feel uncomfortable. But that's why we're drinking the water.
The Heavy Seas, yes.
The Heavy Seas.
Yes. And I can't get Heavy Seas on the West Coast, sadly. They don't distribute out here, but I am drinking Kona's Big Wave, which is a golden ale. Kona's a brewery in Hawaii. And this is like one of the sweetest. It's like the cake version of beer. Like if there were a pineapple cake, this is that beer.
Is it like a saison or something?
No, it's golden ale, but it's like you can see like just how golden it really is. Like it is.
I think
bright.
that's just pickle juice. I really think that's just pickle juice.
Are you drinking
I
from
swear
pickle
it's
jar? I
not.
didn't see it. Oh, he is.
Jeez. Oh my
But it's
gosh.
super, super drinkable. This is a great like backyard beer or back pond beer if you're suffering from some flooding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they've got some good stuff. They've got some quality stuff. Great brewery out of Hawaii. Allison, what are you doing over there for brews?
I actually had one that I dug out because I looked in my cabinet, and I ordered this once. It's from a company called Tea at Sea. They're Canadian. And and it's called Organic Mango Submarine Tea.
Okay.
So
We all live
tea.
in a
Yeah.
mango submarine.
That's my
submarine.
theory about the name. I was talking to Dan about that before you guys came back.
Hashtag mangoes are yellow.
Mangoes are yellow.
I feel like
Game
a
facts.
mango submarine would not be very like I don't think that would stand up for very long.
Yeah. Or
It'd
be underwater.
delicious.
Isn't fruit buoyant? Wouldn't that just float
It
right
is.
to the top?
Saved by the buoyancy of citrus.
You'd need some ballast.
Yeah, I was gonna say submarines have some buoyancy. There's some theory here, but yeah, it needs a little work to be an actual submarine. But it's really, really good. It's got just Ceylon black tea, dried mango pieces, marigold petals, coconut pieces, and there's just like extra mango flavoring. It says in it, but
Did you say
super
marigold petals?
yummy. Yeah, marigold petals.
Like Triss.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything to relate to The Witcher 3, Chris.
Jesus.
Wow.
Anything.
I'm wearing the shirt, man. I'm sorry.
He's
Yeah,
not,
it's really
he's
good.
not sorry.
Really
See?
good, flavorful and spicy and fruity. It's yummy.
I think that's why I can't get behind tea that much, is because it's just got just plants in it. Like just it feels like sometimes you just throw plants in there.
To be fair,
Do you know
all
what
beer
tea
is
is?
just water and plants.
It's true. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's
You
I
know
need
what
to
wine
change my
is?
thinking.
Water and
What?
plants.
No, it's squeezing. Wine is squeezing grapes. That's different.
If I'm being real, like, this is a really fancy tea in my opinion. Like they're
Ah.
trying very hard with it. So I feel like the marigold petals are literally for the color. in
And to
the
say that
bag.
there's marigold petals.
Yeah, it's nothing more than fanciness.
Also, why are you saying it that way, you guys? Marigold.
Marigold.
Wait, how are they saying it?
Marigold.
No.
I live in Maryland.
Marigold.
Yeah.
Not
Ma-
Marigold.
Maryland.
Maryland. It's Maryland. It's not
Land of
Baltimore.
Marys.
It's not
There's
Baltimore.
Marys everywhere. Baltimore.
You're right.
Baltimore,
You're right.
Maryland.
So, what have we been up to this week? We haven't had a chance to sort of, catch up with what we've been playing.
Dan,
Ugh.
what have you been doing?
I got a PS4,
Yeah, you did.
so I've been playing God of War basically constantly.
Yeah, you
It's-
are.
It goes in stints of me going to work, coming home, playing God of War, making up excuses to not go hang out with my friends so I can go play more God of War.
Yelling at your fake son.
You like my boy?
Boy.
They put so much, they humanized some fucking characters in this game, dude.
Yeah, dog.
Like, I'm blown away by the amount of, connection I get to all the people, or the characters in it. Especially, Atreus and...
You care about him not growing up to be a little shit. Because sometimes he's going to be that.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
I don't want to give away spoilers. We had somebody on the last one say, on the Facebook on the last time say, I hope you don't, guys don't give any... I hope you guys don't give away God of War spoilers because I want to play that. And we're like, don't worry, we don't really talk about much in the story. But just in case you're listening right now, everybody dies in the end.
all the gods do. I mean, that's kind of his thing.
Well, that was the last one that happened.
that was Dan being Dan.
I'm just being Dan. But no, it's really fun. Just as a game too. I find myself going to the places there's 2 areas that you can do that are optional kind of quest line things. So there's
different dimensions.
Yeah, that you can kind of do as like one's like a kind of like the old God of War, and like Devil May Cry has the towers where you can do different levels of difficulty challenges, like survive for a minute against enemies or kill enemies in a specific area. And then one's just like really hard enemies in a maze type area thing. So I've been gravitating towards those so as not to finish the main quest yet.
Yep.
Just like I did with Legend of Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, because I still haven't finished the main quest in Breath of the Wild because I just don't want to finish the game yet.
It's fine. There is no such thing as finishing Breath of the Wild.
Dan, I can't remember if you said this on a recording or not, but were we having a bet about if you finished God of War before me, I would have to do something?
I don't know, but I'm for making that bet.
Well, see, I was going to say that I think we should call that off.
Why?
On account of I don't have my PS4 anymore right now.
If we did have a bet, and I'm gonna listen back, no, that is not part of the stipulation.
Dan does not care about.
You don't care about acts of God.
Yeah, I'm just like your insurance company. I do not care.
That's brutal.
I'm sorry.
It's too soon.
Oh,
Speaking of not caring, what have you been playing lately, Allison?
One of them I'm going to talk about in a bit, and that's Raft. That's
okay.
One game I've played a lot of lately.
Raft.
Oh, I thought you said Wrath. And I
A
was like, where are
small
you playing
improvisational boat.
Because why did you not tell me?
Also, can we now have a game that's Raft of the Lich King, and it's just like him floating around, like
it's after everything. Things? It's like the after global warming happens.
Oh,
he's just like Frostmourne is fucking soggy.
But yeah, that's the most I've played. Everything else is my usual. A lot of Overwatch lately.
Nice. That's cool.
Nice.
Chris?
Well, I've been playing a lot of The Division with Alex. So since I'm not able to go back to my apartment right now, because of the things that have happened, I'm staying at Alex's place. So that's been fun. We've been able to play a lot, and so we've been playing The Division, which is a game that I thought he was going to really dig, and he loves it.
I thought you were going to say he hates it.
Yeah,
he loves it. So we've been playing a lot of that on our downtime.
That's cool.
And that's been really great.
How many hours do you have in on The Division?
Me personally, or me with Alex?
You personally and you with Alex. I'm curious.
Me personally, I have about 30 hours onto The Division, and so I have one level 30 character, so like a maxed out character, and then I started a new character with him. He's about level 5 or 6, and that's probably been about 3 or 4 hours.
Nice. That seems like a very Alex type of game.
Yeah.
I was reading some spoilers on not spoilers, but like some feature pieces on the sequel and what it might be next, and people are thinking they're going to call it The Multiplication.
You're funny.
Multiplication.
I like you because you're funny. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm sorry.
I like that.
It wasn't good.
Oh, I get it. That was a terrible joke.
No, I got it.
I think we're just gonna need to put in crickets there or something because nothing happened.
Ian, if you need the sound file, I've got it already in my.
Why don't you go ahead and post that in the game?
I just feel like you're like an episode early for dad jokes. That's all.
No, there's it's always a good time for dad jokes. That and then Ian and I have been playing a lot of Vermintide 2.
Oh, Vermintide 2 is so good.
How good is it?
It is great. It is really fabulous.
So Vermintide 2 is very similar. So it has a similar play style to like a game like Left 4 Dead, but it's more objective based. And I think
slashy.
And so instead of guns, you have melee weapons, or you might have like a bow and arrow. So it's based in the world of Warhammer. You can play a couple of different races and classes, and it's you and 3 other people. and you're going through different missions, fighting Skaven, which are these rat men, and the Chaos, who are these like desecrated men, basically.
Yeah.
Desecrated.
What I really love about it is that, especially on the higher difficulties or at the beginning when you started, you are forced to work together.
Oh yeah.
You do not have a choice. And if people aren't doing their job, you're dead. It's kind of, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of...
It's kind of like a raid.
Yeah, I was going to say it's kind of like a really well-balanced WoW dungeon where it's like it's hard enough that you feel like you're really getting challenged, but it's not so hard that that you're failing all the time, but you will fail if you're not thinking ahead and not like anticipating and doing your job. And I really like that about it. Yeah,
and so for me, I've been playing a tank class, so I'm kind of basically...
What a surprise.
Shocker. I'm a dwarf tank. They're called an Iron Breaker, and they just have a ton of health, and they don't do a ton of damage, but they do a decent amount of damage. And I basically am on the front line, knocking people back and holding the line, while Ian, who's a elf, I
think
Wayfarer or something like that, who's in the back kind of taking out the special characters that might come up, so that I can just like... me and the other people can lay waste to the regular non-special people.
Can just left click so much.
That's right. We also spent some time playing Golf with Friends, which is exactly what it sounds like.
And it's the worst.
It's not the worst. It's not the worst.
I'm gonna post some pictures that are very frustrating.
Good.
It's a lot of fun.
It's very silly.
It is a lot of fun, but also, goddamn it.
It's human fall flat, but golf instead of running around.
I prefer it to human fall flat. I think it's like it's frustrating, but in a different way.
Every game is frustrating in a different way, just like all of us.
Oh,
wow!
I mean that in a very loving way.
Kind of true, also.
No, but it's a lot of fun to play with a group of people for sure.
It is.
It's like mini golf, but everybody goes at once,
and it's crazy.
And you can also make your balls fun shapes.
Yes.
Alice. I'm sorry, that's my level of humor.
Speaking of golf, the worst thing about Golf with Friends is certainly the water hazards. No.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And speaking of water hazards, no, I'm just trying to get into the first segment. This is me trying to force
I was waiting for. I was trying to figure out the pun. You didn't want to talk about.
Is there
Pokemon
a segue
Quest?
happening or just an awkward pause? I don't know.
You didn't want to talk about Pokemon Quest 2?
We can't talk about Pokemon Quest. Is a poorly conceived and executed mobile game for a
I think it's actually
platform.
Excellently conceived.
I cannot.
I don't know. It looks.
It's so. What bugs me about it is that it's a mobile game for the Switch.
But it's coming out for mobile.
Is it coming out for mobile?
It is.
Then they should not have released it on the Switch. It would make sense on a cell phone. It doesn't make sense on the Switch.
I find myself oddly drawn to it. And my girlfriend, Katie, was watching me play this, and she was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "I don't know." But I was still playing it.
It's only good for the reason that I think it's so much better designed for mobile is that it's really only good for I'm going to be sitting on the toilet for 3 minutes. I will play this game for 3 minutes. It's a great toilet game.
Pooping games.
Isn't that what the Switch is for?
I mean, yes, but also there are so many other great titles on the Switch where you don't have to sit around and wait for something to happen.
Well, it depends on how much time you spend on the toilet.
I guess that's
Chris,
true.
how much time are you spending on the toilet, man?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty quick, so Pokemon Quest is great. Apparently, Ian spends hours there, so he needs a little more depth.
Yeah, you got to get some more fiber, dude.
Thank you, guys. These are things that I wondered about you all, and now I can just write, Dear Diary. Today I learned about the poop habits of my fellow podcasters.
No, I poop normally, so Pokemon Quest covers the amount of time that I need.
Oh my god! Hey, memo to us. Make an Allison's diary section of the Facebook website.
That'd be a great blog post.
Oh, it would be wonderful.
I am for that. All right.
Anyways, back to Man, you know what's really hard to get in Pokemon Quest? Water Pokemon.
Speaking of water, our first... that brings us...
Shittiest segue.
We're good at segues. Game brew facts.
I'm like laughing so hard I'm gonna barf.
Part 2 of what I learned today. It's possible to laugh so hard you fart.
Wait, you haven't done that?
No. I mean,
you haven't
clearly
lived. Clearly, you haven't lived.
Yeah.
Okay, so our first segment is what we're so that brings us to our first segment, which we're calling the Game in the Flood, which is all about games featuring water as a main ingredient. What do we got, people? What's good for this?
Raft.
Oh, right, Raft.
Tell me about Raft.
Yeah, tell us about Raft. I'm curious.
Okay, so my friend actually gifted it to me, who lives in Texas, and we try different games together a lot. And this one is a survival game, which is definitely her style. I suck at them. I suck so bad, but I love playing them with her, so I try. And it's like any other basic survival game where you start on a blank, and this is a raft. Clearly that is what you start on, and there's water completely surrounding you, and you have to build up things in order to be able to survive better. But you are literally, you have to make a hook and on a string at first to throw into the water and capture things that are floating by. So really, this is probably a story about like our polluted waters more than anything, because there's so much crap in the water. That's all I could think this whole time as I was doing that. I was like, wow, if this is anywhere near some kind of percentage of real, this hurts my soul. But yeah, you're just pulling junk in to make different stuff. You have to fish in order to eat. You can make little like vases to grow plants in. And
where does the dirt come from?
Do what?
Can you?
Where does the dirt come from for planting plants?
You don't ask those questions.
Okay, we don't need dirt.
Yeah, don't.
Sorry.
Shut up, Ian. Shut up.
Can you get a volleyball?
Damn it.
Not that I've seen. However, you can get like little cute tchotchkes is the best way I can describe them, to put on your boat. Like we had like, I think a penguin and a duck that were just sitting on our boat as our mascots.
But no Wilson.
They were awesome. No Wilson so
Oh
far.
man,
so
that's
far.
a bummer. Sense, though.
Is there? Can you like increase the size of your raft at all, or is it just?
Yeah. You build out your raft. You start really teeny tiny, and you have to really, because there's a shark that attacks. So that's part of the survival part is the shark will kill you.
Just one? There's just one shark?
Just one shark. But
he's a really vindictive shark.
Does it have a name?
He has friends.
Wait, what are his friends? Are they other sharks? Or?
There are other sharks.
So there's more than just one shark.
Yeah. So you name them clearly when they come at you. So you have Greg at first.
Bruce, actually.
Wait, is that in the game? His name is Greg?
No, but you have to name them.
I feel
He's attacking you constantly. You need to yell at him. You need to be like, Greg, stop it. Fucking stop it.
I feel like they should all be named Chad.
I mean, probably.
Just
Chad.
Like, hey, I'm gonna come.
Oh, there's an army of Chads coming.
And then Chad's best friend Chad, after you kill Chad, comes to attack you because
my name's
he
also
has a
Chad.
vendetta
My
for
father
Chad.
grew up with Chad's father, so Chad.
But yeah, the whole time we were like,
sorry to our listeners named Chad.
That's awesome.
If your name's Chad, fuck off, dude. Get out of here.
So
we don't need you.
I have two questions, Allison.
Yes.
Can you dive in the water and like go
Yes.
water diving? You can. Okay.
But it's super dangerous for a lot of reasons. There's some good stuff.
Are the sharks one of the reasons?
Yes, the shark is the main reason, clearly. But you can like make bait and throw that so the shark is distracted for X amount of time. But you have to swim down. You have to collect whatever you're trying to collect. That takes time. You have breath. You can build like things to help you swim faster, like fins and stuff like that, and breathing apparatuses to help you there. But yeah, it's super dangerous at the start to do that. You have to really time it. So that's where you have to kind of have a well-oiled machine with your team. Her brother would throw the bait in and let us know when the shark actually got on it, because I jumped in once before I didn't know the shark had to get on the bait. So like I jumped in and I was immediately just like
you became
by a
the
shark.
bait.
Yeah. And you lose all your items if that happens.
That's cool.
Your friends can revive you if they collect you. Basically, they have to come go get you, bring your body back, put you in a bed that they have to build, and then you can come back, but you don't have any items.
I like this. This is interesting. How much?
That sounds
is
cool.
$20. It was a nice $20 game. For sure. I had a lot of fun with it. It's going to be fun with friends. I don't know if I could play it by myself.
I don't like fun with friends.
Yeah,
okay.
It's awful. I can't.
Well,
it is still an
Dear
early
Diary,
access.
Things I learned today. Chris hates me.
No, not just you.
Everybody.
No,
but yeah,
no,
that
sounds
I
really
like
cool.
it a lot.
Yeah, so it reminds me a little bit of Space Engineers.
Never played it.
It's
Really?
basically
I'll take
this,
your
but
word
in
for it.
space.
No. Yeah.
In Space Engineers, is there?
But we're
a
not
shark,
talking about space
a space
games
shark
right now,
trying
so.
to kill you? Sorry, you're right.
No, but space is trying to kill
Space
you.
Greg.
Space
Greg
Greg.
is trying to kill you.
What else we got in terms of oceany, watery games?
I thought Wind Waker really did a good job because it made it so
It's the best Zelda game. So
clearly
Unconfirmed. Unconfirmed.
not a Game Brew fact.
hey, fuck off.
No,
That's
it's
my
a very good Zelda game for sure. Top 10 at least.
How many are there? I don't want to answer that question. We don't know.
15.
But
Game
they
Brew
did a
fact.
really good job of making it so like they didn't put stuff too close together, but it wasn't too far apart either. So like you felt like you were exploring and there was a sea, but it wasn't. It wasn't
boring
completely
to
barren
sail
all
anywhere.
the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I did like about that a lot, and especially like
and like the whole idea of the flood happening. So spoiler alert for this, I don't know, 15-year-old game.
we really love to spoil 15-year-old games. It's great.
You get to go and find down below the ocean and find out that there was a flood that happened, which is why it's fitting. And basically go to underwater Hyrule and see what it looks like. So like the thing, like the bodies of like the masses of land that are still there are like the tops of the world from other Zelda games, basically.
Yeah, it's definitely neat. There's another game that's kind of like that where you do a lot of sailing around, like games like where it's not necessarily about the ocean, but like Black Flag, that has the same mentality where there's a lot about the sailing, but there's also mostly Assassin's Creed-y land bits.
You're talking about Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, not
Black Wake.
Flag.
Is different
Black
than
Wake.
Wake.
That's what I
Not
was
Black
thinking.
Wake.
Okay.
Not Black Wake. No. But yeah, where it's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't feel like things are really far apart when you have to sail to them, so it like kind of gives the sailing a little bit more body. I mean, arguably with Assassin's Creed, there's like more things to do while you're sailing than just
Play
sail.
shanties.
Oh man.
Oh, yeah.
That is that's the that was the thing I loved best about that game is whenever they would start singing sea shanties, I would just start singing along because they were so good.
Yeah, and you learned because you heard them all the time, so you learned the words to
Right.
them there. So you're like, "Walk 'em along, John, carry 'em along."
And couldn't you learn other shanties?
Yeah,
Yeah, when you found like the sheets of music,
Yeah.
like around,
the sea shanty
you could do
sheets.
that.
I mean, it's kind of like what
Say
made
that 10 times fast.
sea shanty sheets. It's kind of like when you're going around and Sea of Thieves playing the hurdy-gurdy.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
also
that's
the best part of
so-
Sea of Thieves. By the way, there
so
is.
good.
Did you guys know that there's a free content expansion for Sea of Thieves that's come out?
Oh, so just
Oh,
normal
no.
content. Cool.
Ah!
Oh, rough.
I don't even care. I love that game.
Do you still have that game?
Yeah, I def do.
Did you buy it, or are you still paying the Xbox Game Pass
I'm
prices?
still doing Xbox Games Pass, which I'm not entirely
Nice.
sure about, but it's good for Sea of Thieves for now.
So,
Sea of
so
Thieves,
is the
yeah.
only thing that you're doing for Xbox Game Pass the Sea of Thieves?
Yes.
I think by now you may have just bought Sea of Thieves. You could probably just buy Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
the one thing But there's one. It's like the Netflix sound.
Bork, bork.
Bork, bork.
That's the Netflix sound right there.
One of the things that's really cool in God of War is that anytime there's like a boat scene when you're going someplace, because there are some times whenever you have to travel in this little raft or canoe. I don't know what to call it. What's the Nordic version of a canoe?
Pretty sure
somebody
it's a
look
canoe.
that up and send it to us. What? It's just a canoe. But basically anytime that happens is whenever they kind of delve deeper into the story.
Yeah.
So like you'll be in the boat and you'll be rowing it and
Atreus.
and Atreus will start talking about what's some of the stories about these gods that are there, and then you as Kratos are like, well, there was this, or Atreus will be like, hey Dad, can you tell me a story? He's like, I don't know stories, son.
Tell me a funny story. I don't know any funny stories.
It's really
super
cool.
dry and funny. Like
yeah, but it's a really good way of masking like loading times and stuff like that. Is like giving you more info about the world. It's pretty cool.
Well,
I really like that.
I thought that they did the similar thing, moving. This is a tangent.
Man.
This is a tangent. The way they did loading screens in God of War was really good because there's not a lot of them, and it's mostly when you're fast traveling, which means that you're going through the world tree. And so then you'll just talk about stuff on the world tree and just kind of run around until the loading is done, which was like
ingenious. It's ingenious.
It is even that ingenious, but like they did a really good job of doing it because there's like Assassin's Creed kind of has that, like where they'll drop you and it's like you're in the Animus and like you'll just be running through fog, but just having that extra
or walking, you could do
sure, but like you know what I mean, like. Just having that extra little bit of story while you're doing that makes those loading screens way more interesting.
Or at least, yeah, not boring.
Yeah, that was well done.
That kind of connects to one of the things that I think about with water, is that water encourages sort of a different set of mechanics than different things do. Like it's a great way to spread things out, and it's also a great way to hide things.
And that's a big mechanic also in God of War.
Well, I don't know if it's a big mechanic. Oh, well, no,
well, like yeah. So like in God, sorry to keep going back to this, but God of War, they basically there's
2018 Game of the Year right there. I'm saying it is.
Twice, basically, like when you get into this one area that's like the main lake, which is the main hub of the game, there will be 2 times. Sorry. That are
spoiler alert.
There will be 2 times.
Apologize. Like I'm sorry,
but this is relevant. There's 2 times basically that the lake will lower, and that will expose more things for you to do, and that's kind of how they open up more areas for you to explore, and it's really like it's another one of those things. It's like that's really smart, but really not that smart. But good job, like.
Like, good job making me feel dumb for thinking that's a great thing to put into games.
But like, it's not that smart, but it is. It's good.
But it am. And also, like games like that's kind of like where games like Subnautica are kind of interesting, where it's about exploration under the water, where like you're above the water and there's almost literally nothing. There's just nothing up there. Aside from the one big ship that fell down that you were part of, and your little bouncy ball of safety,
relative safety, really,
relative safety, where it's like everything is about what's underneath the water. So it's not about exploring above or trying to find other land masses. It's about saying what's underneath, and you have to explore and be prepared for whatever can approach you from there.
Yeah, and that. The process of traveling deeper into water is I find that to be a really cool mechanic too. Like slowly building tension as you kind of descend. It's like bright and sunny and there's all these bubbles and happy fish, and then there's slightly less fish, but a little bit more.
How can you tell if the fish is happy?
They're smiling. Hello.
Yeah.
Game brief fact.
But you get a little bit lower and sort of like there's a little bit less life, but the life there is bigger, and then it starts getting dark, and then it starts getting dark, and there's scary. Like it just like that. The idea of a descent is sort of a naturally terrifying thing for a human. I feel like underwater, and therefore it can build a lot of tension if you
sure. And that's a good point. Like the whole idea of going into deeper, darker water is like we're naturally adverse to it.
Yeah.
Which is that's a good point.
Well, it's like the unknown, that in space.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, that's the final frontier.
Well, but I mean, water's kind of the same way. You die if you get out of your apparatus or whatever you have to breathe in, and if you can't get back to the surface in time, you're dead.
Yeah.
So it's that fear of the unknown, because you're going underwater into these deep depths that maybe nobody's seen. And then also that fear of not being able to breathe if something goes wrong.
What was that?
I don't have that fear.
Do you guys remember that show from the 90s that was about a submarine? And it was awesome. It was like Star Trek, but underwater.
McHale's Navy?
No. Sequest? I think it was called Sequest. Did you guys ever watch this show?
Sequest?
You never watched Sequest?
I can't say that I do.
Oh my
I'm sorry.
god. It is exactly Star Trek, but underwater. It's so good.
Yeah, it is.
Actually, that's kind of a brilliant thing. Someone was literally like, what if it was Star Trek, but underwater? And that's how
They rode that
that's
wave.
literally
They rode it.
Nice,
the wave.
rode that
You're not
wave.
talking about Stargate
Nice.
Atlantis? You're not talking about that?
No.
No.
No, okay.
Rode
No.
that wave.
Sequest.
Sequest.
So
It's
good.
amazing.
Is that no? I think you're just saying that was the guy who was the host of American Idol.
No, that's... Oh man, you guys are on point tonight.
Oh, that's great. Other great games with water recently. Has anyone played Sunless Sea?
I have not. I don't know what that is.
Do you guys
Explain.
know? Have you ever heard of Fallen London?
Yes.
Okay. So the same people who did Fallen London, Fail Better Games.
Oh. Yep. Okay.
Also,
I
and really, I think they are better known for Sunless Sea, which is it's a 2D game where you play as a boat captain and you're sailing out of Fallen London as your main port, and you sail to the other ports on the Sunless Sea, and it's a survival game where you sail around, and and just like Fallen London, it's very story heavy and very story oriented, and it's also beautiful and dark and gloomy in a great way.
Yeah, and Fallen London is basically like London is
Fallen?
taken. Well, yeah, it's like taken over by like the
like dark mirror
like
world London.
Dark. Yeah, it's like there's like demons and Cthulhu-esque like entities and stuff like that. So
to be clear, this is not a major release. This is an iOS, Android / browser game.
Yeah, Fallen London is a browser. Like it's essentially a choose your own adventure kind of
interesting
reading game. It was interesting. I actually subscribed to it for a couple months and had a good time with it.
It was definitely a neat experience, kind of like Blackwatch, where it was kind of like this is an interesting like thing to do whenever you have the time for it, or you don't feel like reading a book, you feel like doing something
experiencing
similar.
Instead of like actively experience instead of passively experiencing.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Like you don't have to activate it anytime you want to use it. It just kind of happens all the time.
Did anybody here play Heavy Rain?
I did with KOB in college.
Oh,
I played a little bit of it. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. And that was I mean, loosely, you could say that's loosely based on water. I mean, because the title has
Water
rain
Functions
in it.
is a pretty important tension builder in that game as well, doesn't it?
I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. That game made me a little bit because that was like one of those.
Dan does
like,
not approve.
No, it was a good game. It's like again like the Telltale stuff we talked about last week. It was the choose your own adventure type of like you make the decisions, but everything is generally kind of the same.
Are you
where it's like
Dan? Now that you have a PS4, are you excited for Detroit Become Human?
I haven't. I mean,
considering that is made by the same person as Heavy Rain.
Is it?
It is. But I really enjoyed the time I had with it on when I saw it at PAX.
Oh, okay. Because it's out now.
Is it out now?
Detroit. Yeah. Yeah, my coworker just bought it, and he was saying it was really good.
Yeah, I might.
I don't know how I feel if I'm going to spend the money on it yet. So But yeah, no, I mean those types of games are really nice. Rain plays a part in that, but not so much as the floods it's causing in the East Coast right now.
Did you guys play Abzu?
I did not play Abzu, but I've heard good.
I didn't play Abzu either.
Somebody played.
I played Abzu.
Alex played Abzu too.
Alex played it too. Yeah.
Do you guys know what it is?
Yes.
So it's made by the art director of Journey, I believe.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's like Echo the Dolphin, but you're a person.
Echo the
right?
Dolphin.
Kind
yes,
of,
I'm
yeah.
so glad you brought that up.
So there's some exploration elements, and you kind of get to really explore this lush underwater environment. And there's you're basically like finding the spirits of all these different animals in different places, and figuring out like you start uncovering a story about how the world is like it is now. So like there was a big flood, I think, and
everything is underwater.
Everything
now.
is underwater, and
spoiler alert: global warming is the reason. I actually don't know that, so I'm sorry if I just spoiled the game for myself.
But like you like go into these machine areas, and they're like it's basically like machines are evil, and the creatures are good, and just kind of exploring that area, and like the juxtaposition of the lush like underwater environments against that like the red and black machine environments like is very, very jarring. It's very
the universal video game colors for bad shit.
Yeah, black and red.
Red and black.
But it's a great game, and it's a great game to play for an afternoon for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, if you have like 4 hours, go play it.
Go nuts.
I'll have to check it out next time it's on sale.
I loved Echo to the Dolphin since you mentioned that. That was one.
Oh, I did.
Clearly,
that
was good.
That
what was there was a game I remember distinctly playing it in like the last year in high school that I had, and like in college, where you were this little. It was like a browser, like something you go to Newgrounds and play, where it was like you're a dolphin and you had to try and get to the moon, and you had to like keep going.
Oh yeah, and you had to like you. You
had to like do different
pendulum
jumps.
thing.
Yeah, and like hit stuff as you were going up. I don't remember what it's called. If anybody remembers what that's called, please
I vaguely remember.
Please send us a message. If you distinctly remember it, send us a message at thegamebrew.com or on the Facebook or on our Instagram, because I'm very curious and I can't remember.
One of the things I'd also like to see is more developers using water as a mechanic in dry land games. So can you imagine if in Minecraft, like if there were a waterfall, if you could build a mill and then like use that to power.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Can you?
I'm pretty sure you can in Minecraft.
You can use.
I don't think so.
Use water to do certain things. Like you can use water to clear fields. You can use water as like a down elevator, but you can't use it as a generating component. I just think it's an interesting tool to play with. Like it's like fire. You know what I mean? Where like there's so many interesting different mechanics that you can use with fire, but you don't see water used as often or as in as complex a manner as fire is. Like if you think about Breath of the Wild, the interactions that you can have with fire are like you can burn enemies, but you can also like light your tools on fire and hit things with them, or you can also like light the grass on fire and use that to fly, and like there's kind of a cool set of things that you can do with it. Whereas the water thing is like, I guess you could freeze it and it turns into squares for a second.
What else could you do? What do you want?
Like
it can do two things. It can freeze and flow.
Like I'm thinking about but flowing is like there's.
That's
so
a
many
great
things
name for a rap duo, by the way.
Freeze and flow. It's gonna involve the person from that insurance company, Progressive.
Flow.
Yeah, flow.
Flow.
Freeze and flow.
But no, I feel like you could push things with it, or you could like grow plants with it, or you could.
Well, for like growing plants, you would have to have a time mechanic then in Breath of the Wild.
Well, there is a night and day.
Well, right, but like an instant time, like a, you know what I mean? Like you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like there was more water mechanics in previous dungeons in the Zelda, like older games in Zelda.
raising and lowering water temple comes to mind.
But there's multiple water temples that have had multiple different ways that they've used water.
Well, I think that's something too, is that a lot of games have like water levels. A lot of them where you have different mechanics within those, like even old school like side scrolling stuff. Like I don't
Battletoads,
like
well,
Mario.
I was thinking Ninja Turtles, the Turtles in Time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The surf level, I loved that level where you're riding surfboards and you have to battle the ninjas that way. That was cool. And then you're like, I got this down. I can move and do this. And then all of a sudden you have like pizza monsters come at you. Like that was a cool level. Like that was something fun and different. But lots of games do that versus like integrating water in other ways. They just make it one level with different mechanics and different environment like things that happen. And then that's kind of it.
Yeah, we're done with this. Here it is. That's it.
Yeah, there you go, guys. Water, right?
Yeah,
here's your water level.
Bye.
But and it's sometimes like the hardest level too, where it's like I hate the Mario water levels a lot of the time and things like that.
And I wonder if there's like a history of like the water levels being the most frustrating. I feel like.
Well, again, because I feel like it's so different from the average human experience. Like
because it changes like the physics, it just changes things.
You're thinking about a 2D plane essentially most of the time. When you are walking around or existing in your life, you're essentially thinking about a 2D plane. Yeah, there's like 6 feet of depth that you care about, but that's it. As soon as you introduce the idea of floating in water, you introduce the idea of 360 degrees of movement and also incredible, up and down depth.
Yeah.
Like Bashir and WoW, that
yeah.
whole
fuck that place.
Like it takes the quests that you usually think very linear because you run around and get things, and it moves things above you and below you, and you ride on seahorses, and I like that area. I don't
what remind me what the reason that you could breathe underwater was there?
Because expansions.
Because Stone Cold said so.
There was a reason. But I don't remember what it is. I don't know. It's been a bit since I've done the storyline.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't love last year.
It had its cool things. I liked riding seahorses. I'm easy to please.
As long as they're seahorse riding, Allison's on board.
And tiny animal collecting, Allison's good to go.
Yes, exactly. The way to my heart is mounts and pets.
So just Pokemon. The way to your heart is Pokemon.
Kind of. That sounded awkward. But yes.
We're going to move on from the mounts and pets conversation. But we did want to say before that we go, if you are interested in giving to the relief effort and the rebuilding effort in Howard County, which is where Chris is from and which is where Ellicott City is, we'll post some websites in the show notes where you can go there and do the little PayPal thing and give back to the community. So I hope you do that. I hope you appreciate our discussion of watery games. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Attack of the Game Clones. We're going to talk about games that are way too similar to each other to just be coincidence. So stick with us. Okay, that is it for the show this week. We will be back next Monday with the second half of episode 32. But before we go, just a quick reminder, you can subscribe to the Game Brew podcast on iTunes, on Google Play, or anywhere you get fine podcasts like the Game Brew. And we love it when you let us know what you think of the show by getting in touch with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So hit us up. All right, that's it. See you next week.